In this video, we will go over how the shell processes a command line and uses standard input and output. When the shell processes a command line, it first tries to find the command being used, usually at the beginning of the line. It breaks up the command line into pieces using the defined IFS separator, by default, a space. Each piece is an argument. In the simple example of ls-l, there are two arguments. The first is the command ls, and the second is the option -l, because they are separated by a space. The shell usually finds commands without us thinking about where it finds them. If you run ls, rm, cd, or others, they just run. But that happens because the shell finds them in one of the directories listed in your path variable. The path variable defines where the shell looks for commands. This is usually a collection of directories and can be modified by the user. We will do that in later tutorials. Run the command echo $path to display the contents of your path variable. The $sign at the beginning of path just means that it's a variable. If you want to run a command that is not in your path, you need to give the path to it. If it is the same directory as you are working in, give the / at the beginning to specify that you want the one in the current directory, not in the path. I'll make a simple shell script here, give myself permissions, and run it. I'll call it simplescript.sh and put the command of ls-lh space -- colors in it. Then give it permissions by running chmod u+x simple_script.sh, and then run it by putting the / at the beginning and then the file name simple_script.sh. When a command finishes running, the output is typically sent to the screen. This is called standard output. As we will find out later, that can be changed. When a command is preparing to run, it checks for its input. Typically, the keyboard is the source, but not necessarily. The keyboard is the standard input, but that can be changed as well. The shell actually has no real concern about where the input comes from, which gives us great flexibility. The last command gave us some great output to standard output. Now let's take that same output and redirect it to a file instead of the screen. I'll run ls-lh -color, then the greater than sign, listing.txt. The greater than sign means redirect output. And the file listing.txt is the file that it will go to. Now let's look at the file that was created. Use less to do so. Notice that the file has some characters that less doesn't know what to do with. Those are the color characters from the colored output. That isn't usually a good idea when writing to a file. Now use cat to look at the same file with cat listening.txt. The output shows color here because cat is aware of how to process the color codes. Now let's use cat again to view the file, but this time we will not use the keyboard as input, but redirect standard input to the contents of a file. We do this with a less than symbol, like this. Cat listing.txt, or as it's done read in Unix context, it would be read as cat redirect input listing.txt. And we get the same output because cat has read the same file. It was just specified in a different way. Not all programs are designed to take standard input from redirect, so check the man page if in doubt. Now let's look at the last of our output changing, and that is the append, which is a double greater than symbol. This means we will add the output to the end of a file if it exists, whereas redirect output destroys the original file. This preserves the original and adds to the bottom of the file. Let's add some text at the bottom of the listing.txt file to test this out. run echo append info ... append listing.txt. Then look at the results with cat and check for the text at the bottom of the file. And there it is. Sometimes you want to have a command run in the background so that you can have the shell prompt back while the command is running. To do so, place an ampersand at the end of the command. For example, if you want to tail and follow a file, it will not give you the command prompt back until you terminate the process. So you can run it in the background like this: tail-f listing.txt ampersand. The file is then running in the background, but we get our prompt back. Now run jobs to see its number and possibly to restore it to the foreground. Input and output redirection is just one more tool that we have available to combine with other tools to add to our power and flexibility at the command line.